swing and a drive. Right field and deep. Back goes Aquino. It's got a chance. Gone. Get out the tape measure. Long gone.
Fly the W!
Cubs fans, it's time to fly the W with Dustin Rhodes and Paul Crawley-Jean.
You are listening to the Fly the W podcast. It's Dustin Rhodes, my guy Crawley. Well, Crawley, the Cubs can't complete the sweep on a Shota start. Don't forget to listen, download, subscribe. Most importantly, review our podcast. Follow on all the socials. Of course, I'm on Mully and Haw on X, and you can follow Crawley at.
Yep, you can follow me on Crawley's Cubs on X, Blue Sky, and TikTok, and Crawley's Clubhouse on Facebook, Instagram, and Threads. And if you have any questions or things you want to talk about on the show, email us at crawleysclubhouse@gmail.com. Oh, Dustin, well, what a cold one it was this week at Wrigley Field. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, I know you went to one of these games, but let's start off with game number one that set a couple of records that you really don't want to set.
How about this, Dustin? This is a classic here. The expected starting temperature for the game on Monday night was 34 degrees, which was 4 degrees less than the Winter Classic on December 31st when the Blackhawks played in Wrigley Field. There was even some snow.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing that a game played on New Year's Day had a warmer real field temp than just a couple days ago.
There's nothing more Chicago than that. But despite the frigid conditions, Dustin, on Monday, the Cubs played, to me, one of the best games of the season. I'll tell you why. The one thing we know about Wrigley is that it can play like two entirely different ballparks in the spring versus the summer. So when you take a look at, say, April, May, October, it plays different than June, July, August, September. So as a team, Dustin, you have to be able to adapt to the conditions in front of you. Some days the wind's going to be howling out. Other days, like this week, blowing in, who knows, cross direction, all these things. But I thought that this was one of the best games, and on the mound was Justin Steele.
Yeah, felt really good tonight. Was filling up the zone. That was kind of the plan with the conditions tonight. When it's really windy like this, really cold, it's a tough day to hit. So I was just, if anything today, I was going to make sure I was filling up the zone. I mean, more so I was just when I make the walk, I'm just a little frustrated with myself just because in conditions like this, you really want to fill up the zone and stuff, so you don't want to give away free passes. But, yeah, I would say besides those two at-bats, I was filling up the zone. It really didn't take much to get, locked back in. Yeah, the way I've kind of been giving up homers is not quite getting the breaking ball to the plate or in the dirt when with two strikes. So that was kind of my emphasis tonight. When I got two strikes, it was like even if I feel more comfortable with my curveball, just bouncing the curveball on the plate or bouncing the slider. It was a few different times I used one or the other. It was just whatever I had more feel with at that moment.
So Dustin, we should take a drink every time he said fill the zone, but it was maybe
he's looking for an AutoZone endorsement,
right? And I don't know if you caught that, but his son was at the presser and he was playing with dinosaurs.
His daughter. It's actually his
his son. That's Bo.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I'm sure.
Daughter. All right.
Nope. That's his son. And his son has his own Instagram account and everything. The little guy.
Really?
He only has one kid. Yeah, that's Bo. And so the thing about Steele to me is he didn't look really sharp in his first few starts. In his first start in the Tokyo Dome, he gave up 5 runs in 4 innings, gave up 2 home runs. In his second start, the domestic opener in Arizona, I was there. He gave up 3 runs in 5 innings and a home run. It was his third start in Sacramento against the A's that things kind of got interesting. He gave up a walk and a home run in the first and a walk and a home run in the third. But then he seemed to lock it in and looked a lot better that final 3 and a third innings in Sacramento. So at the time, my question, for this game on Monday was Justin turning a corner after, those final 3 2/3 in Sacramento. And as far as Monday was concerned, the answer was yes. He pitched 7 scoreless innings, gave up 3 singles, 2 walks, and 8 Ks. After giving up a leadoff single to Kyle Higashioka in the third, he retired 15 of the next 16 batters he faced. The only time the Rangers had 2 runners on base was the first inning, and Kyle Higashioka had 2 of the 3 hits against Steele. So for me, just absolutely phenomenal.
Yep. Great outing, no doubt.
It was 34 degrees, but it was real feel at 23, and the wind was blowing in from the left field at 17 miles per hour with gusts up to 26 miles per hour. According to our friends at Wrigley Winds, you can get their app. I always check it before I go to the game. But it's going to be really hard. When I was on that game Monday, it was going to be hard to hit home runs in that weather. And you saw Justin attacking hitters. He mentioned it over and over again, filling the zone. 64 of the 91 pitches he threw were strikes. And so I just really feel like that was an outing where he talked about it in the audio. A lot of the problems he was having with the home run ball, he wasn't finishing on his breaking pitches, and they were hanging up there. And you put one of those cement mixers up there against these teams that the Cubs are facing, and they're going to hit it out regardless of the wind. And so I thought, just as far as attacking the zone, as far as completing his secondary pitches, not leaving anything hanging, you didn't see a lot of sometimes you make mistake pitches and you get away with it. Other times, I thought that happened a lot in that first game when I saw him in Arizona. I thought he made a lot of mistake pitches. He got away with it a couple times. I just didn't really see a lot of mistakes from him on Monday night.
No, he was spectacular. Really, really good. But sometimes that comes with a cost, Crawley, right?
Yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later. But Kyle Tucker truly got a taste of what it's like to hit it Wrigley in the bottom of the 5th inning. He hit a pitch, Dustin, from starter Nathan Eovaldi with a 104.6 mile per hour exit velocity, 29-degree launch angle. So, I mean, you had the EV, you had the launch angle. By all metrics, that ball should have been in Sheffield, and instead it ends up in the right fielder's glove on the warning track, right? That's just ridiculous. So how do you score runs?
You can't always live and die with those metrics, as we know.
Right. Well, how do you score runs without the long ball then? How about some small ball? Bottom of the second, Michael Busch hits a ground rule double. Dansby lays down a sac bunt, moves him to third. Miguel Amaya hits a sac fly. Cubs up 1-0, Dustin. That's textbook, right? In that kind of windy day, you just get the runner over and get him in. And
that was smart. It was smart baseball. Like you said, textbook, smart baseball. Yep.
Right. 3 batters, ground rule double, sac bunt, sac fly. No problem. How about John Birdie in the bottom of the third? He gets hit by a pitch, steals second, steals third, and scores on a contact play. Ian Happ hits one to Jake Berger, but Birdie's speed allows him to score. The Cubs are up 2-0 on manufactured runs. Bottom of the 5th, 2 outs. Seiya Suzuki walks, steals second, scores on a Michael Busch triple. Cubs up 3-0. They break it open in the 6th. The Cubs scored 4 runs on 5 singles and a stolen base, but just small ball all over there. The Cubs scored 7 runs on 10 hits. 8 of those were singles. Michael Busch was the only batter with an extra base hit in the game. He had a double and a triple. Everything else was all singles from the Cubs, and they scored 7 runs. I mean, that's just unbelievable. And this is what Counsell had to say about some of this small ball.
Yeah, I mean, stolen bases, you're putting risk on, right? I mean, it's a risk, and you're trying to, you're trying to put it on in moments that it makes sense, in moments that maybe you have the best chance, or that putting risk on makes some sense. So it's picking your spots, and you're trying to pick those spots where you think you got a better chance. Right now, I think we're picking really good spots. Sometimes the other team just makes a great play. Sometimes the catcher just makes a great throw, and he gets you. But what we want to do is put risk on in the right spots, and the guys have been doing a good job of that.
I mean, when you take a look there, Dustin, you're talking about just this team right now, this Cubs team is running all over the place. It's like a track meet. And these guys are successful at it. They're right now, Dustin, 25 out of 26 success rate in stolen bases. One time they've gotten thrown out, right? And so that's how you win cold weather games in the spring and postseason. Those are the things that you're going to do to be successful. How about this one right here from our guy Chris Kompka? I love this one right here that he was talking about here. He says, quote, the Cubs games with 5 stolen bases by manager. There's been 4 under Craig Counsell. There were 4 under Dave Ross, Joe Madden, Rick Renteria, and Dale Swaim combined. So you're talking
combined.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, so you're talking
Absolutely
about from
crazy.
like 2011 to 2020. When did Ross last manage? Was it 2022? 2022.
Yep.
So yeah, I mean, you're talking about he's done it in 2 seasons, what those other 4 managers didn't do in a decade. And so I think a lot of credit's got to go to Craig Counsell and his coaching staff. Quentin Berry is in charge of making the stealing, but you've heard a lot of the players, whether you're talking about, you're listening to post game with PCA or John Birdie or any of these guys, it was a point of emphasis about running. And, you know, they saw something in Nathan Eovaldi. He didn't look comfortable out there Monday night. His previous start against the Reds, he threw a Maddox, 9 scoreless innings on 99 pitches. He hadn't walked a runner in either of his 2 starts, but he wasn't happy. He walked 2 batters. He hit John Birdie with a pitch. But Dustin, good teams make you pay for making mistakes. Those 3 free passes, the 2 batters that walked and John Birdie hit by a pitch, the Cubs scored on 2 of them. To me, it was such a well-played game in every aspect. Pitching, hitting, base running, and defense. I think that is why that was probably one of my most favorite games of the season so far.
Yeah, really great game, no doubt about it. And I think it was, you know,
looks like we lost Dustin for a second here. He is frozen in time, and that's what makes the live show so interesting. Now, the game that I also went to, was game 2, Jameson Taillon versus Patrick Corbin. And it was another cold one. It wasn't as cold as it was on Monday night. I'm not going to pretend like I suffered on that. Dustin, we got you back.
Hey.
But that was another cold one when I was there Tuesday night. I probably had, I'm not kidding you, 20 layers.
I was just about to ask, what were the type? Tell us all what you had on exactly. Do you have like the ice fishing gear on or what?
So I had like 4 shirts and a jacket, 2 pairs of pants, wool socks, boots. I wore a Santa hat, and I also had a ninja mask in case I needed it. But these are the coldest games in Wrigley Field history. You saw the game on Monday, April 7th. That is ranked as tied for the 4th coldest game in history at Wrigley Field. And the game on Tuesday was at 35 degrees. So it's also in there, right? It was only a couple degrees, 1 degree difference from the Rangers game, but there's been 7 times where there's been games that are 35 degrees. Yeah, you definitely have to bundle up. And if you got a chance, you know, run up to the bathroom. It's so warm up there. It just felt glorious up in there. If you had to, like, you know, use the bathroom really quick and then get a little bit of warmth. But Dustin, I'll tell you what, this game had me nervous because the Cubs got a little bit of luck. The starting pitcher that was supposed to go his turn in the rotation was Jack Leiter, right? He was supposed to start this game, but he was put on the IL with a blister on his middle finger. And so Patrick Corbin, who played with the Nationals, they picked him up off the scrap heap on March 18th for depth, right? One of those depth pieces. And so he got called up from AAA to make a start because he had such a late start to spring. He was in the minors. And with Jameson Taillon, you never know. His last start was it was okay. It wasn't it wasn't bad.
It was You're right. Is a good way to put it.
But it was a quality start. That start I saw against him against the Diamondbacks was awful. But it was just one of those games where I'm like, watch Patrick Corbin come in and shut down the Cubs. That didn't happen, but it was a weird game. A lot of back and forth, a lot of bizarre plays. It was weird. It was a second straight night playing in sub 32 degree weather with wind chill for both teams. Everything kind of seemed like sluggish. Like all the guys were like in slow motion a little bit there. And so the wind was knocking down balls, especially from lefties. Like if you were trying to hit it to right field, wasn't going to happen. Corey Seager looked like he had one that was going to be a home run. It got knocked down. Justin Tucker had one. to right. It was going to get necked down. But righties, if they were able to hook it towards that foul pole, you had a chance to get home runs, and we got to see that right there. But, one guy that just really did impress me was Jameson Taillon. Here's what he had to say about his start.
Yeah, I mean, I thought maybe early I was just kind of feeling my way through it a little bit. And on a night like tonight, you got to really emphasize finishing your breaking balls and stuff. It's possible to pitch out there in the cold. You just have to just finish everything with a little more intent. So I thought after that second, we regrouped. Tommy kind of just told me, he's like, hey, make sure you're getting to the front of everything and finishing everything. And I just kind of thought that helped my mentality and stuff just tick up a little bit. All right, I'm going to make sure I'm finishing everything. So yeah, we just got on a nice roll there. And kind of had a talk with myself after the second too. You don't want your night to look like this. Let's start stepping on it and, see what we can do.
Another classic Tommy Hotovy mound meeting. That was the second inning when that mound meeting occurred. Jameson Taillon is the king of what I call the Dustin Rhodes quality start. He is the king. Always seems to go 6 innings and gives up 2 or 3 runs. Last start against the A's, 6 innings, gave up 2 runs. Quality start. Tuesday night against the Rangers, he pitched 6 innings, gave up 3 earned runs. Just met the quality start criteria. So he is the king of the Dustin Rhodes quality start. Trouble early in the game, loading the bases in the top of the second on a single, a walk, and an infield single. Jonah Heim added another single to put Texas up 2-0. Then in the third, Corey Seager hit the ball that I was talking about that was crushed, but the wind knocked it down. But righty Wyatt Langford hit one to left that was a no-doubter. To me, Dustin, like the game that I went to on Tuesday night and the game today on Wednesday, you could not hit a home run to right field, but if you were going to left and you were kind of trying to get it right next to the batter's eye in left center or right by the left field foul pole, that's where you had a little bit of a gust that you could get the ball up into one of those streams. And that's what Langford did. He hit one and it went right up there, right next to the batter's eye. So, but after that home run he gave up to Langford, he retired the next 10 of the next 11 batters he faced, striking out Josh Smith in the 6th to end his night. That was a good start for JMO against a good team. And you need guys like Jameson on your team, a guy that posts up, takes the ball every 5 days, and eats innings. But Dustin, I wrote this. I always write my notes down prior to everything happening. And I felt when I wrote this, I felt that the Cubs were, if they're going to make a deep run in October, they're still one premium starting pitcher short.
Yes.
And I don't know.
Totally agree. Yeah. JMO is not that guy. He's not that guy. I mean, he's exactly what you said he was, but he's not it. He doesn't have that it factor yet.
Go back to 2016 with the Cubs. He reminds me of Jason Hamill.
There you
right?
go. Perfect.
He's a guy
Perfect
guy who'll go every 5 days. He'll give you a good outing and keep you competitively in the ball game. But he's not a number 3 starter on a team that's going to make it deep into the postseason. Mm-hmm. And so I don't know if one of the Cubs' young pitchers step up and goes on a run, whether it's Ben Brown, Jordan Wicks, Cade Horton, or if they're willing to trade for a top-tier arm. But they need one more top of the rotation pitcher. And when we get to segment 2, you'll see why you need one even more now. But,
it's not funny, but it's funny.
And how about Lieutenant Dan here?
I credit DK and the whole staff just for so much, just obviously helping me find things that work for me and just holding me accountable to that. I definitely appreciate coaching and, people challenging me to be better, and they've been nothing but great. And obviously we have such a good group of guys that know the game and can see things as well, and that you can chat about whether it's approach or swing stuff, whatever it may be. It's nice having teammates to do that as well. So it's been a great start for us as a group, and we're looking forward to continuing the role we're on.
DK, for those of you that don't know, is hitting coach Dustin Kelly, but what a game by Dansby Swanson. Not only was he making his usual stellar defensive plays, which, Dustin, I think we all kind of take for granted at this point right now, but he was 2 for 4 at the plate with 4 RBIs. Bottom of the second, he hits his 4th home run. 4 home runs already, Dustin, and we're not even through April, right?
He's
it
off
was
to a
a
hot start at the plate.
Right. It was a laser with an exit velo of 107.7. It went 395 feet. It almost left the yard. It hit like right where there's like a little patio where you can get your beers and stuff, like right to the next to the left field hacienda right there. It hit like the fencing going out to there. Normally that was almost gone there, but it was awesome. And that cut the Cubs deficit in half 2-1. He gave the Cubs the lead with the bases loaded sac fly in the fifth to put the Cubs at 4-3. And after the Rangers came back to tie it, after they were down 6-3, Dansby hit the go-ahead single with the bases loaded in the bottom of the eighth to put the Cubs back up 8-6. Just a great game for Dansby. But what I love about this team, Dustin, to me, what's important about this team is that there's a new hero every night. They're not just relying on one or two guys. Like Ian Happ was 0 for 5 in this game and Carson Kelly 0 for 3. But Seiya, 3 for 4, 2 RBIs. PCA, who's been heating up, 3 for 5 with 2 RBIs. Kyle Tucker, 2 for 4 with a double. He has stayed hot, but you're not just relying on one guy. And if that one guy doesn't come through, you're screwed. Everybody kind of is taking a turn, in my opinion.
Yep. Everybody's delivering. Everybody's contributing. It's a nice start overall. Much better than I expected. I'll be honest. I did not expect them to be where they're at as we're doing this podcast today.
Yeah, and the other thing, though, is they've been playing some really great defense, which I think we did expect. But I got to tell you, the defense on Tuesday night got a little wonky. Here's Bruce Bochy.
Well, I think you look at that last inning, I mean, Leo just misplayed that ball, just misjudged it, and that started things and got the ground ball, couldn't come up with that. So that's what's frustrating about it. But, they played hard. They came back to tie it. We got down and kept battling. So had some big at-bats there, to put us in a pretty good position there with our guys that were fresh. And but, just got away from us. Just did not play good defense.
Why did
Our good friend Chip Paleo said ugly game defensively, which is out of character for us this year. Definitely, I would say definitely one of those games that you're kind of looking at and it was like, what happened? And then talking more about the second half, right? Bizarre players. Cubs and Texas are both excellent defensive teams, but there were a few doozies that cost the Cubs the lead and the Rangers the ball game. 1 in the 7th and 3 plays in the 8th. Cubs are up 6-3 in the 7th. Julian Merriweather's in the game. He gives up a leadoff double to Josh Young. Merriweather strikes out Jonah Heim for the first out, but Leota Taveras hits one to short left, kind of where the bullpens used to be. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And I don't know what happened, if it took a funky hop or had some weird English, but it gets over the glove of Ian Happ. I think a run would score either way, but now the ball rolls all the way to the warning track. So Young scores from first, and Taveras ends up at third and scores on a ground out. And now it's a 1-run game after 7th. Happ cannot let that ball get behind him with up 3 runs in the 8th. That was surprising to me. I thought you would like this one. Craig didn't make the same mistake twice. He put Michael Busch at first in this game defensively after Justin Turner started, and Josh Birdie at third, right? So I like that. And then Porter Hodges on the mound. He gets the first 2 outs quickly in the 8th inning, but Josh Schmitz hits an infield single to third. And here comes Josh Young again. He hits one that's a weak fly ball against the right field line. Justin Tucker looked like he had a play to end the inning. I think he looked up to see where the wall was. There's not a lot of foul ground in the area. He misses the ball and it rolls all the way to the warning track. Smith scores, and Young is credited with a triple. The go-ahead run is now at third for the Rangers, but Porter Hodge, who looked really good in an inning and a third, striked out Jonah Heim to keep the game tied. But 2 games by the Cubs Golden Glove outfielders cost them 2 runs and tied the game up. I think with Kyle Tucker, it's going to be a matter of getting used to playing right field at Wrigley, which can be tricky.
Exactly right. Yeah, he's not there yet. And I got to be honest, Crawley, he does not look very happy. And maybe that's just his look. But boy, I think these last 3 games outside of Wrigley Field, he's already. He's just got the body language and the look of a guy that's got 1 foot out the door already.
I don't know. When I think about him, I think he's a guy that's like a poker player. We talked to Chandler Rome, Houston Astros beat writer, And I think he's just a guy that is not a guy that's going to be like, he's not a Christopher Morel. He's not a Nico Horner doing the airplane type of guy. He's just a guy that he's a lunch pail guy. Clock in, clock out. He's not a guy that's going to give you good quotes. He's not a guy that's going to anything like that. And so I wouldn't look too much into his body language. I mean, he's doing one thing here, which is playing baseball at an elite level, which I think he's doing. But I don't think anyone's truly happy on those cold games. But now it was Rangers.
No doubt.
Now it was the Rangers' turn. Bottom of the eighth, former Cub reliever Chris Martin on the mound for Texas. Ian Happ hits one to center, and it looks catchable. And you heard Bochy. Doesn't Bruce Bochy sound like Sam Elliott? do you hear that?
I pick up on that. Yeah, I pick up on that.
When I was listening to Bruce Bochy, I was thinking of the Big Lebowski. Sam Elliott was narrator of that one, and talking about the dude. I don't know what your Sam Elliott memories are, but I always think of the Big Lebowski.
Very good.
But he's the one that said Leo got turned around, and that's exactly what happened. Is that ball by Ian that should have been caught? Leo Taveras gets all turned around. The ball hits off him. That's an E8. Happ ends up at second. Martin strikes out Suzuki, and old Bruce Bochy, Sam Elliott, puts up the four fingers. He's not even gonna mess around with Kyle Tucker.
Oh no, free pass. Just go down there. Nothing to see here. Just go along.
One, just because of the way Kyle Tucker's been hitting. Two, when they did the double switch, John Birdie took over for Justin Turner as your cleanup man. Now, John Birdie's not a cleanup hitter, and so it makes sense. But Birdie hits one to third baseman Young, and he can't field it clearly. Everybody is safe. E5. So that's the second error of the inning. Bases loaded, and that's when Dansby Swanson hit a 2-run go-ahead single to make it 8-6. PCA would drive in two more, and the Cubs were up 10-6. That was the final. The Cubs win. They take the series, and it was all set up for the sweep, Dustin. All set up for the sweep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It did.
Mother Nature didn't want to help out today. I was hoping for a rain out, Crowley. I was hoping Mother Nature was going to get in the way. This one was going to get banged. The Cubs were going to get a day off, and then we'd get Shota against the Dodgers on Friday night.
Wouldn't that have been fun? It would have been a rematch of the first game of the Tokyo series. It would have been that could have been Shota versus Yoshinobu Yamamoto. And not only that, Dustin, it's just the fact that we're going to talk about the injury to Steele and all this goofiness that kind of happened. The weather elements were not good for Shota with the wind blowing out to left. That's not going to be his forte in that situation.
Yeah, it's not his jam. No.
No. And so going for the sweep, you're thinking, okay, well, the Rangers got to be licking their wounds. They looked, you want to talk about bad body language. They looked miserable out there.
Oh, did they look miserable?
And
absolutely.
So the Cubs were 25-7 when Imanaga starts at Wrigley, but it did not take long for the Reds to ambush him. If you take a look, Dustin, the first inning, I'm sitting here going, that's when sometimes you sit there and you say, you hope that things turn around. Because sometimes these guys, they're going to end up figuring it out. They you get off to a little bit of a start. And I feel like he did. But that first inning, I was sitting there very nervous as far as how hard they were hitting the ball off of him. And so Corey Seager hit one. It had a high exit velocity, but look at this, Dustin. It was the only ballpark that first inning home run would have been a home run in is Wrigley Field.
Of course.
Every other ballpark that would have been a double or something, but it wouldn't have been a home run. So that kills you right there. So he's getting hit a little bit in the first inning. But okay, he settles it down, and it seems like things are going well until we get to the fifth inning. And Dustin, that's when he really kind of starts getting hit a little bit. And if you're looking at him getting hit here, this right here, you could take a look. This is what was happening here in that fifth inning. You ended up seeing a lot of hard contact. That's the exit velocity in the red right there. For those of you watching at Crawley's Clubhouse on YouTube right there. But it started out okay, but it was an infield single that ended up hurting him by Kevin Pillar. But then catcher Jonah Heim homered to center, and the Rangers took a 3-1 lead. He struck out Leota Taveras, but then Marcus Semien hit a blazing single that went off the top of the glove of Dansby Swanson. Corey Seager struck out for the second out, but then Josh Young doubled to score Semien. All of those were hard hits, and then finally Adolis Garcia hits a bloop single, but the Cubs were down 5-1. And look at that here. So that Semien shot was 95, Seager 101. The fly out by Josh Young, that wasn't even that was 105 off the bat. And so just absolutely crushing it right there. And so I sit there and I take a look at this and I say to myself, all right, he just really got hit hard. And what are you going to do in that situation?
I mean, listen, you're not going to have a great day every time out, right?
No, and that was a surprise. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 runs on 5 hits, 1 walk and 4 Ks. He gave up 2 home runs. But one of them, like I said, wouldn't have been in a normal ballpark. Nate Pearson came into the game. He pitched a scoreless inning, but the next inning he came out, he gave up a solo home run to Corey Seager. I mean, Dustin, that's another one of those MVP candidates. When you look at Corey Seager.
Oh, yeah, he's good. He's a good ball player. He's a good ball player.
Every time he came up, or anytime a guy was on base, I would count how many batters till Corey Seager came up because he scared the crap out of me. Now I know what other teams feel like going up against Justin Turner. After scoring 17 runs in 2 games, the Cubs offense was non-existent against former Red Tyler Mahle. He held the Cubs hitless until the 4th inning when Suzuki hit a triple. I don't know what's going on with some of the scoring here. It should have really been a double with an error.
It's like those guys needed preseason, like they needed spring training or something.
Right. Center fielder Leody Taveras was probably the first person on the bus to the airport to get the hell out of Chicago. He had so many bad plays in this series, and that was another one. He didn't reach down all the way, and the ball got past him, so that's why I ended up as a triple instead of a double. Michael Busch hit a single. After being down 0-2, he worked the count back to 3-2. Nice single, nice piece of hitting. But Mahle finished the game giving up 1 run on 2 hits, 1 walk with 4 Ks. I mean, he absolutely shut down a Cubs team that, to me, Dustin, I mean, the offense was on fire. They had scored 17 runs in 2 games, and he absolutely shut them down. It was impressive.
Yeah, he shut them down. It looked like the weather maybe finally got to the Cubs as it had gotten to the Rangers, but they both teams had to play in it. The Cubs took 2 out of 3, as you and I both predicted. They needed to do that with their on paper best 3 pitchers going, so that was important.
Dustin, I was listening this morning and there was to the Mully and Haw show, and there was some audio that I thought was really important from Craig Counsell. Here's what Craig Counsell had to say about the cold weather that the Cubs had to play in.
I think, look, it's cold. Accept it, right? And the other team's playing in it.
See if this clip will get going here. It's loading up in a second.
Try to somehow create an advantage for them from it. Not going to change that it's cold. That's all you can do.
But basically, while we're waiting, Craig was talking about just the cold sucking. And you got to deal with it, right? Sometimes nobody wants to play in 30-degree weather. Nobody wants to sit and watch a ball game in 30-degree weather out at Wrigley Field. But you know what? You have to make the adjustments. And I thought the Cubs did a great job in this series making the adjustments they needed to make. No excuses about it being cold, right? They didn't make excuses. They played in it, and that's what you got to do. And again, if you want to go deep into October, or as you like to call it, Craigtober, if you're going to go deep, those are going to be games that you're going to have to win. That's about as simple as it goes. There's going to be cold weather games. And I thought it was a great job by this team. You take a look. They had to play the Padres, who were coming in 7-0. 7-0, Dustin, they were coming in, and the Cubs took 2 of 3. And then they faced the red-hot Rangers, who were 8-2 coming into the game, and they took 2 out of 3. So you can't ask much more for the Cubs.
Very nice homestand. Very nice homestand. You're listening to the Fly the W podcast. Don't forget to listen, download, review, and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. Leave us a 5-star review. You can also email us, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. Also, don't forget to watch us. That's right, Crawley Clubhouse YouTube page. Crawley Clubhouse YouTube page. All right, Crawley, we're in the middle of Thursday right now. Wednesday, actually. We're in the middle of Wednesday. getaway day for a lot. We got a short schedule on Thursday. I'll take a look at the standings a little bit.
Yeah, and Dustin, how much do you think these guys are actually excited to get the off day to defrost? I am not kidding you. I was still cold this morning when I woke up. Like I still like felt it in my knees. I was like,
I bet.
I was trying to figure out what I don't know. When you take a look at the standings, the Cubs are just doing really well. Obviously, they are in first place, and I'm looking at it right here. The Cubs. Looking at the standings, they are now 9-5 in the updated standings. Milwaukee, they are in first place. Milwaukee, a game and a half back at 6-5. St. Louis 5-6. Cincinnati 5-7. Pittsburgh in last place at 4-8. And so with Milwaukee,
Paul Skeens looked human the other night.
Yeah, he did. And that's not good for Pittsburgh. And Milwaukee has to play tomorrow while the Cubs have an off day. So let's hope by the time the Cubs play on Friday night that they have a 2-game lead over Milwaukee. So hopefully, we'll see what happens. Now,
right, so that's the good.
I was going to say the Athletic, Dustin, puts out power rankings. And the thing
little early for power rankings, isn't it? A little early for power rankings.
I would say yes, but the thing about the power rankings is it gives you a good feel of what's going down here. They have the Cubs and the Orioles tied at 11, right? The Cubs and the Orioles are tied at 11, and you can see it right here. And then when you kind of scroll up, Atlanta Braves at 10. You have San Francisco and the Mets.
How does that make? How are the Braves at 10?
That's what they have it in. That's what they have it in.
Okay.
And so they got the Giants and the Mets at 8, Boston at 7, the Arizona Diamondbacks at 6, the Texas Rangers at 5. You got the Padres 4, the Yankees 3, Phillies at 2, and obviously the Cubs' upcoming opponent, the Dodgers, at 1. Would you say, Dustin, that is a fair analysis? Other than the Braves?
Yeah. Other than the Braves, I think that's pretty fair. I mean, we can all look at the standings, right? The Giants have started out hot. D-backs haven't had the greatest start.
They're in a tough NL West.
All right, but they haven't been playing each other yet. I mean, and listen, the Dodgers are looking to avoid being swept by the Nationals. Anything can happen in this sport.
The question, of course, anything can happen in baseball on any given day. We know that. But would you put it'd be hard to think about any teams to put above those teams like the Braves, Giants, Mets.
No, that's probably the Braves are the only one. I mean, the Cubs should be 10 and the Braves could be on the outside looking in.
Right. Well, we talked about in the past the Cubs' difficult March-April schedule, and this just reinforces how hard the schedule is. Based on this list, the Cubs have to play 26 of their first 31 games against teams in the Athletics' top 10. That's what makes the Cubs where they are in the standings so impressive. Now, as far as some news that we have going on here, Kyle Tucker. How about Kyle Tucker? NL Player of the Week. 391 average, 3 doubles, 3 homers, 8 RBIs, 1.461 OPS. Dustin, that, mighty impressive week that he had, and you couldn't ask for a better start to Kyle Tucker's Cub career. Well, maybe
you could not. Other than signing an extension, right?
And the Tokyo series. But every time he gets one of these accolades, his agent is hearing dollar signs. Now, the big news in baseball since the last time we talked, and one that does affect the Cubs, Vladdy Guerrero Jr. signs a 14-year, $500 million deal. No Los Angeles Dodger deferrals. This is going to be straight up 14 years, $500 million. And Dustin, Guerrero is a great player, no doubt about it. But if you had to choose between, you got only one player to choose from, Kyle Tucker or Vlad Guerrero Jr., who would you pick to be the centerpiece of your team?
Honestly, I would take Kyle Tucker. He's the better baseball player.
I would agree with you.
He's the better all-around baseball player. I'm guessing Vlad, if you get into the whole metrics and the stats of everything, I bet he's probably middle of the road as far as a first baseman goes.
I don't know about middle of the road, but when you talk about Kyle Tucker, I think he's
Defensively,
truly right.
defensively.
Oh, defensively, yeah. Truly a five-tool player. He can hit. He's a gold glover. He steals bases. He has a cannon for an arm. Terrific approach at the plate. And he, like you said, Guerrero plays an average first base while Tucker's a gold glove right fielder. So when you talk about a future deal with Tucker, assuming he continues to play like he has the start of the season and like he did last season when he wasn't injured, if I'm Tucker's agent, $500 million is the starting point, right? If I'm his agent, if I'm Tucker's agent, don't even bother offering one penny less than $500 million. Would you agree with me on that?
Yes.
And so obviously everybody saw that extension, and it was the Score's Bruce Levine that asked Kyle Tucker about that Vladdy extension.
I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was what he wanted to do. I'm sure he loves playing in Toronto and everything. So, that's great for him. But I mean, everyone's a little different. I mean, right now I'm here to, play this year and play for the Cubs. So I'm excited to get out there and play again tonight and just kind of see where everything goes after that.
Kyle, it's important for you to kind of just see how this whole season goes, see what it's like living in Chicago, playing for Chicago, and kind of just have a longer sort of sample of being here for you.
I don't know. I mean, it's been great ever since I come over here. I mean, right now I don't have anything, so I can't really give you anything. So, but I mean, it's been great ever since I've been over here. Everyone's been super nice and helpful and everything, and hospitality's been great. And obviously, you guys can walk around this facility. It's really nice. So, I don't know. I'm just here to play some baseball and see what happens after that.
Okay, so I know that's got Cub fans in panic mode. Do not panic.
Well, it depends. It depends on, again, he sounds so unenthusiastic, right? But he's also the defending player of the month, right? Player of the week, player of the month, whatever, he's on. So let's see. We have to give it some time. But I mean, yeah, he doesn't sound super enthused. And as I said earlier, I don't want to be a hypocrite. He also had terrible body language.
Right. And to me, that I didn't see the body language, but as far as his speech, that's him. That's who he is. He is not exciting. It's basically, if you remember, where Kevin Costner's character is talking to Nuke LaLoosh and having him write it down. I'm just here to help the team any way I can. God, those cheesy baseball axioms, that's what he's going to give you. He's not going to be like, oh, my heart's here. Cody Bellinger was a guy that talked how much he loved Wrigley and talked it up and talked it up and talked it up. You're not going to get that. You're going to get the poker face from Kyle Tucker. He's not going to show his cards. Now, I don't think any decision's made. I think he's earned the right to free agency, and he's not going to do or say anything that's going to impact anything one way or another. If he says, oh my God, I love playing it here. I love the city of Chicago. The fans are the best. I never want to leave. Well, that's going to hurt him at the bargaining table.
Right.
That's going to hurt him at the bargaining table. He's not going to say anything like that.
So I mean, he did say that he enjoys the clubhouse. He enjoys the facilities. He enjoys Chicago so far. Everybody's been friendly. Hospitality's great. But it's just the way he says it, with just like he's a robot.
And that's how he is. And I don't care if he is a robot, as long as
he's not here to talk. He's here to hit. Right. He's here to hit and be a 5-tool baseball player. That's what he's here to do.
And as long as he does that, I'm fine. But again, nobody panic. Here's the thing. Tom Ricketts is going to have to open the checkbook. He's going to have to dust it off and open it up if you want to keep him. It's not going to be because of the IV and my grandpa's used to watch on WGN crap. It's going to be none of that. You're going to pay him the money.
That stuff is gone and faded. And I don't know that everybody that runs the place realizes that the WGN and the Superstation and my grandfather and all that. I think that old recruiting tool, unfortunately, has dried up.
And not only that, Dustin, here's the thing. When you are one of the premier players, the union looks at you because you're going to set the next guy's contract.
Yeah, I hate that, though. I'm not saying you're wrong. I know, but I hate that. I hate that you as a player are supposed to continue to set the market for everybody else. You do what's right for you. You do what's right for your family. If your kids are in school and your wife's happy living in Chicago, more than half the year, then stay in Chicago and don't take every single last penny on the table.
Some players are going to do that. Some players are not. Everybody's different. But Kyle
Right,
Tucker
but I'm saying
he's a different
you
status
are
player.
right. The expectations from the union are what you said, and I think it's unfair.
Let me ask you a question. If Jed Hoyer goes to Kyle's agent, let's say 614 years, similar to Vlad Steele, right? Except maybe 50 to 100 million more. Would you turn it down?
No, if I was the agent, I would not. But I don't think the Cubs go beyond 10. I don't think they go beyond 10 years. Now, again, that they could change the dollar amount, but as far as years go, I don't see them going beyond 10 years.
14 years is a long time for a baseball player. That puts Vladdy in his 40s, making a big amount of money.
And
so
did you see the little caveat on that earlier today?
About the bonus?
Yeah, $325 million coming in a bonus and all secured regardless of a future potential work stoppage.
Must be nice. And that's the type of contract you want your agent to work out for you. Dustin, is funny. This morning, we really didn't have anything about roster moves and injury reports or anything like that.
I wish we still didn't.
Right. The news hits.
I was going through my start the other day. I was talking to Tommy and Counts throughout the start and stuff. I was like, arms starting to tighten up on me a little bit. I was at the 4th, 5th inning. Was just doing stuff in between innings to keep it warm, moving around and stuff. Told him the next day, the trainers and stuff, I want to come in and do a lot of recovery stuff, red light, do everything I can to get the recovery process underway. They asked how it was doing. I was like, it's, kind of sore, kind of tight. And then, they just made the decision to go ahead and put me on the IL.
All right, 15-day IL for Justin Steele, one of the aces of this team. And Dustin, for me this morning, I'm on cloud 9 after that Cubs victory, 2 straight victories over Texas. The bags are packed for the West Coast trip. And now you don't have Justin Steele. And when we were talking earlier in segment 1 about Tyone really being now a number 4, now that puts him as your number 2 pitcher. I mean, this is, and you're about to hit a road trip where you're going to face the Dodgers and the Padres. I mean,
the Padres are going to be looking for a little payback, you would think.
Absolutely. And here's what Craig Counsell had to say about Steele's injury.
Take the conservative route here. He had symptoms of an injury that he experienced last year. And for that reason, rather than having him focus on his next start, I think it's just best that we just back off that and make sure, he recovers in a really good place, and we're hoping it's the minimum and he can be ready to go in a couple weeks. Justin's health is, and looking out for that is what affects the decision. The schedule's the schedule. We'll see how that plays out as we go forward here.
So they're talking about some tendonitis in his left arm, and it's the same injury that landed Steele on the IL on September 4th last season. He was activated off the list on September 18th. He started 2 more games. One start was 2 innings. The other was 4 innings. But you have to assume best case scenario, right? Best case, when you talk about rehab starts, you're talking maybe, at least 3 to 4 weeks?
Well, maybe 3. I mean, let's just get ourselves acquainted with Jordan Wicks pretty soon.
So that's who you got taken over for Steele, Jordan Wicks?
That's my first initial reaction, yes. Or Colin Rea.
Colin Rea could be a possibility, but it just sucks. With the Cubs were rolling so good and stuff like that.
Right, it sucks, right. But I guess if you're going to have an injury, let's get it out of the way now. It's weeks, it's not months, right? Right now it's weeks, not months. He sounded like a guy that they, meaning Cubs management, Cubs doctors, made this decision. This was not his call.
Yeah, and he did the right thing. He was honest about it, but I'm just hoping, Dustin, that it's not too long, because I'm a little bit nervous about this. Was, when I was nervous about 2 things starting the season, it was starting pitching depth and it was the bullpen. And both of those things still have me nervous.
Have we heard an update on the starting pitcher who was injured with the oblique? right away.
No, I've
We haven't
heard nothing.
anything. Yeah. So I mean, they've got depth. I mean, they have guys. I mean, again,
Javier
they're
Assad,
not
you're talking about?
Assad. They're not. They have guys. It's not like they have nobody. So
Right.
I feel a little worse. I'd like to know a little bit more about Assad. I think Jordan Wicks is probably the guy, or Colin Ray is the guy that makes that start the next time around. Got an off day coming up on Thursday, so they gain a day, right, as far as the typical rotation. I think with the news before the game, I still think I was right. Should have pushed Shota back. Could have done a bullpen day today and not had him out, because we also heard Craig Counsell say, of course we don't know for sure, but he did say that the weather couldn't have helped as far as Justin Steele's injury. So that's a thing also. And then you went ahead and you trotted out your ace in Shota Imanaga
on a day when the wind's blowing out to left.
Right.
So we don't have the complete starting rotate or the pitching matchups just yet. So we're going to jump back on tomorrow to be able to talk to you guys a little bit about that. And so if you have any questions, it's on Facebook or YouTube so that you could pick it up, listen, download, review. Those reviews are super important. You leave those 5-star reviews and subscribe to the Fly the W podcast. And you can email us, Crawley's Clubhouse, gmail.com. And I hope to talk to everybody tomorrow. And Dustin, we'll have some predictions. We'll see what happens, right?
Yep. Have a great rest of your Wednesday, everybody. And we'll get back to you ahead of the Dodgers series. That starts Friday night.
It's all over.